Hello, collective. Lavenderlightworker here. Sometimes I like to do weird stuff. I like to show you how I don't want to buy a treadmill. And I'm in a major health transformation. So I literally just pace in my house. And sometimes I put headphones in. And sometimes I dance and sashay. And sometimes I watch the things that I would be sitting there on the couch or whatever. I just watch it on my phone while I pace back and forth. Right now, hold on. I don't want to trip. That would be hilarious though. I would not cut it. And I also wanted to show you that I literally don't give a crap about my hair being messy. Just don't. A slate anyway. Right now, the collective is going through a major health crisis. I was a part of that. Not making healthy choices, eating things that I didn't see my ancestors and my great grandmother and my elders that I saw live in their 90s, even up until 102, what they were eating. You know, I started slowly just eating more processed foods, and if it said this, you know, just buying things that were easy. My grandma didn't even have a microwave. Put in the comments below, do you remember having an elder that did not have a microwave? I do. They just used the oven. Anywho, I started getting high blood pressure, which runs in my family, and decided that I wasn't gonna let that take me out. Like, it was getting dangerously high and it wasn't being controlled with medication, because that's the first thing the doctors want to do. Here, take this fucking pill, right? And it just wasn't working. My spirit guides during my sleep, it was literally right after my stepdad died. It was funny, but not funny how it happened right after that, because blood pressure is the silent killer. You're not really supposed to feel it. But it was like 2 hours after he passed away, became non-physical, that I started to feel something wasn't right. Obviously, I was stressed, right? Obviously. But something made me like expedite a blood pressure cuff. Random. On that day, I did it. So I get the blood pressure cuff. I start, and I hope that this will inspire someone and save someone. Even if I just save one person's life, hey, because I saved mine. So I already saved my life, but if I could save someone's life besides mine. I got the blood pressure cuff, and yo, it looked crazy. I am not from New York. I just like to say yo because I have some friends from New York and that's all they say. Anyway, it was like spiking, and I started to pay attention to it to the point where I was like, oh my, you know how some people have a scale? If you didn't have a scale, you wouldn't know how much you weigh, right? If you don't have a blood pressure cuff, you're not going to know what your blood pressure is and how dangerously you could have some type of heart issues due to the shit we're putting in our bodies or the stress in our life, right? I don't care if you're skinny. I don't care if you're fat. It doesn't matter. So, see, I'm even like pacing. I found a way to pace back and forth in my house, upload content, get a workout, fix my health. I just want to inspire somebody. Anyway, so started checking my blood pressure in the morning, first thing, in the afternoon, and in the evening, period. And paying attention to the numbers and how they were crazy. And I didn't like that. And they would get crazier. I would tell the doctor, I'd go to the doctor, well, here, let's try another pill. Okay, doc. So obviously, those pills didn't really do shit. And it made me realize, I'm probably cursing too much. Fuck. What if I didn't have these pills? What if these pills are supposed to be helping me, and I'm seeing these dangerous highs, like 186, 196 over 126 I saw. Like I was getting these spikes. I gotta have a couple highs and then these like these spikes. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have a cuff, right? So after realizing, okay, I have a cuff, I can monitor the shit myself, let me take it serious. I was like, I'm not, then I looked into my family history. On my father's side, and my mother's side, actually, a lot of my family has either died or had multiple strokes. From strokes. And high blood pressure is just a thing, especially on my father's side. Diet isn't definitely an issue. So things, when you start to check your family history and you start paying attention to what it is that is, going against you, if you actually do that, which I finally did, thank God for the download from my dearly beloved non-physical Poppy. But I just had to take matters. I was like, I am not going out like this. I refuse. I will not go out like this. I'm too young. Fuck this donut. Forget this cake. By the way, I was stress eating, but that has something to do with it, but it's an overall bigger picture, right? I was stress eating. The person that protected me my entire life just died. The one person I could count on, like, my entire life, just died, became non-physical. But he also still protected me from the other side because he made me, there's no coincidence that literally like an hour or two after he became non-physical is when I felt the need to go get this blood pressure cuff. And then on top of that, while he was physical and alive, he was always telling me about my health and to get myself right and to lose pounds. He was Puerto Rican, so he'd always be like, you need to lose some pounds. Oye, you're too fat. You need to lose some pounds. He was funny. Anyway, so I started to research everything on something like, I want to save my life. I want to change, like, I don't want to, these pills obviously aren't working. By the way, for some of you who think that high blood pressure is like, oh, it's just high blood pressure, I'm not worried about it. No, wrong. You can get kidney failure and need a kidney. You will get on dialysis. Some people, like my own family, have been on, and is still on dialysis to this day, or had transplants because of high blood pressure. So the point is, I hope that if there's someone out there with high blood pressure, that you will take this serious the way I did and not just ignore it, and not just take the pill to mask the problem. Because let's be honest, a lot of these doctors don't really care. The pharmaceutical companies don't care. They just want us to be, I don't want to say they want us to be sick, but if we're their forever customers, who's going to pay for their Ferraris? Who's going to pay for all their yachts and they don't give a shit. We're like lab rats to them. I mean, there are some good doctors, but let's be honest. Don't act like, oh no, all the doctors, they wouldn't do that. Fuck out of here. Anyway, let's stay positive. So I took matters into my own hands. I looked up first of all, YouTube University. God, I wish I never spent $57,000 in student loans to go to dental school, because you can learn so much on YouTube. Some of the most famous people in the world that I know have told me they learned how to do certain things on YouTube. Like, one of the most famous bass players in the world told me, I asked him, I said, hey, my daughter wants to take lessons. Any advice? He's like, Yeah, man, tell her to go on YouTube. I was like, what? Okay. Anyway, so I went on YouTube, binged watched everything I could about natural foods, exercises, do's and don'ts for lowering your blood pressure. And I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to my health, my spirituality, and my wellness, I definitely go back to the roots of Africa, definitely India, and Asian cultures, due to the fact that they have documented, proven health systems that they've been using for over 5,000 years. Before this, before that, ooh, and that's been passed on. And here we are in America. We're only a couple hundred years old. I'm not shitting on Western medicine. I'm not. I'm just saying that certain cultures have been, drinking sapparella root or infusing it, making concoctions, burdock root, dandelion root, dandelion teas, etc., etc. They've been doing this. This is nothing new to them. They always knew to heal with the plant and to heal with what you eat. Eat to live, not live to eat. And so I go and I look up a lot of the gurus in India, their advice. I look a lot of the Africans in Africa, and I want to know, without it being muddied watered, muddled down, untainted, what were they doing to stay healthy? So with that said, that's where I got off I decided to go ancient. So I started looking up yoga poses to lower my blood pressure. And they're called asanas. And I started doing them. And I noticed like a drop. And some of the channels I was watching, which is also not just from ancient people, but even in America, they will tell you, walking. If you have a lot of weight to lose, or you just have been sedentary for maybe through the pandemic, you kind of lost, your activity that you know what I'm trying to say. Walking, it's the easiest thing to do. And your lower extremities is what you want to get moving, so the blood can pump in and out. You don't want to do a bunch of upper extremity workouts. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because when you go to the doctor and they're like, you have high blood pressure, here's a pill. It's like they're like fucking robots. Well, you ask questions like, well, leafy green vegetables and diet and exercise. And then they let you go. Because they know half of the time people aren't going to do the research and do it. But say the ones that actually do want to live, I'm not saying people don't want to live, but it's just some of us are stuck in the matrix and we're just programmed to go about our life, and we fucking act like that doctor visit didn't happen, So I'm just speaking out for the people who don't have, maybe they're not good with technology, or maybe they don't have the resources to know that, hey, I don't have to have this half-assed script from a doctor to save my life. There's more out there for me to save my life. You know what I'm saying? So the robotic answer, green leafy vegetables and change of diet and blah, 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 there's more to that. So say if someone went home after that visit and they have very high blood pressure, and they're like, well, green leafy vegetables. Which ones? There's certain vegetables and teas and certain diet that's best. Obviously, you need to see a nutritionist, but even them If you're in America, they're not going to give you some of the real deal. They're not, they're just, I'm telling you, they're just not trained to give us the real deal. So I went and I was like, okay, obviously I'm going to start, pumping on my workout game. Now, my previous workout, or it's not even just about me, just the collective. When you hear the word workout and lose weight, most people go to, oh, I need to go to the gym, 1. 2, I need to lift weights. 3, I need cardio. I'm just, kind of going with the most obvious ones that people would think, because all the doctor said was diet and exercise, green, leafy, blah, blah, blah. So if I would have just listened to that advice and didn't do my own research, which is why I really hope at this point you're paying attention, I would have went to the gym. I probably wouldn't have done that much cardio. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I fucking hate cardio at a gym because I hate treadmills. Walking on a treadmill is torture for me, because you're just walking on a machine. It's torture. I look down and it's like only 10 minutes later. This is why, look, I'm walking back and forth my house. Time doesn't exist. And I don't give a shit who hears or watching me. It's a good way to forget. And like I said, you can watch your phone, your TV, make a fucking video. So people are not supposed to be lifting your upper extremities. If you have high blood pressure, you should not be lifting weights above your head. You should not be doing any heavy lifting with your upper extremities. You should not be doing planks. You should not be doing wall sits, because that makes your blood pressure rise more. And think about it. If your blood pressure is already high, then you're making your heart work harder to go above your head, which is actually making, so there's some people out there who could actually have a heart attack depending on their own situation, or a stroke, or whatever. Something could happen because they just heard diet and exercise. So that's one example. If you want to get on your journey to lower your blood pressure naturally, and you want to start somewhere, Google what exercises are best. Write them down. Get you a journal, write them down, and come up with a plan. Start somewhere. But I can tell you one thing, start with walking. If you like treadmills, hey, do your treadmill. But I want you to know, you do not have to go to the gym. I hate going to the gym. And so I started walking outside, and it was cool because I had a good time. The weather was nice. But now it's cold. It's cold. And I started to notice I would skip my hour. I would start walking. First I did 20 minutes, and then I did 45 minutes a day. Sometimes I would break them up. And then I started doing an hour a day. And I would come home and take my blood pressure. It would be nice. I mean, almost perfect. I had a couple perfects. I'm serious. And this is just off of the exercise of walking. But like I said, the weather changed. How many minutes is this? 18 minutes. Then the weather changed. And I noticed that it would be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I would skip because, and I'm just being raw. I don't care who judges me. I just didn't want to go walk in the cold. I just didn't want to. And so I made excuses to not make an excuse, but then it was an excuse. So after I skipped 3-4 days in a row, and remember, because I'm like, this is life-threatening, I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to walk in my house. I live in one of the coldest cities in the United States. For sure. And it's going to be cold for at least 9 months. I'm talking snow. I'm going to be snowed in a majority of it. So I found a way to not make an excuse. I started walking, pacing back and forth. I do certain laps. I find ways to zone out. And it's working for me. And I feel accomplished, like, oh, I got my walk on. And while I'm holding my phone, whether I'm watching something or listening to music or dancing, my fitness app tracks my steps. I'm not sedentary. I would have been sitting here working or doing something else, watching, whatever. So, real quickly to the diet part. Now, there's certain vegetables that if you are having blood pressure problems, most of the time you're anemic, which I found out I'm extremely anemic. Most of us aren't absorbing the iron in our blood, which is bringing the oxygen to our blood, which is very important for everything. You guys got to go read about that. I'm not going to get into all that. The point is that even if the doctor sends you home iron pills, most people aren't even going to absorb them. They're just going to shit them right out, right? Because there's levels to this shit. You need calcium and other minerals and nutrients that have to go hand in hand in order to break down the iron for you to absorb it. So if you didn't do the research, that's why so many people are sick. That's why I'm making this video. So at this point, I looked into Dr. Sebi because I was like desperate. I was like, I'll do anything. So I completely changed my diet. And, first of all, I've been a vegetarian since April 30th. So it's been 6 months now. I don't even want meat at all. It was so easy to do. I definitely have to give credit to the yogis, the yoga, the Buddhists for that, because after watching following a lot of their spirituality, I realized how important it was. So then I started looking into Dr. Sebi's alkaline diet. And I was like, you know what? I want to heal myself. And Queen Afua, love her. So I thought it was going to be hard. I went and bought these fruits and vegetables, which usually rot in my refrigerator. And I started eating them. And I ate a salad. I fasted. I couldn't get through the whole day. But when I cheated on the fast day, the first time, I ate a salad instead of something crappy. And that shit tasted so good. It was the best salad ever. And my little snack was hummus with some carrots. And I was like, man, this actually tastes good. Like, it felt so good. So I was downing my water, a gallon of water a day. And then I stepped my game up. I started looking up all the herbs. I went on Amazon and got one of those little, I investigated which was the best tea steeper. If you don't want to go do all that, listen, you don't need a gym membership. You don't need all this fancy shit. You don't need a fancy teapot. You can you can just boil the water and strain the herbs back out. But if you want to, you can go on Amazon. There's a teapot kettle. Here, I'll show you. If you go and look at my shorts, you'll see. So this is like saparilla root. Anyway, so I drink that twice a day, and I have some herbs here that I steep for at least 9 to 12 hours, and then I drink it, and these things are proven to do miraculous things. Like, there's Asians that go and pick dandelions that people kill and that would have killed down by the lake where I live, and they go and they pick them up and they sell them, and they're things that we called weeds and we would have killed or just mowed, and they're curing cancer with it, So I started looking into the herb, collecting the herbs. You can buy them at your certain grocery stores, and drink them. So the point is, I'm gonna wrap this up. There's a major health crisis going on with the collective because they want us to be sick. And we're gonna have food shortages soon because of everything happening in the Ukraine. They control our wheat. By the way, I don't eat carbs like that anyway. But if you decide to go with the masses of this major health change, get yourself right. It doesn't matter if you can't afford a gym. I can afford a gym. I just don't like them. It doesn't matter if you don't want a treadmill or a fancy machine. Not everything is material. Just fucking walk. If you can't get outside, pace. Find something to do while you do it. Who cares? Just do it. No excuses. For those of you that are able to do this. If not, trust me, there's other ways around it. There's breathing yoga. Dude, did you know that you could literally block and unblock your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system with, I always say, parayana. Somebody put in the comments below. Parana asana yoga. I'm telling you, there's just ways for someone that's in a wheelchair to lower their blood pressure, not need to take anxiety medication, heal themselves. There's just ways out there, but you have to go ancient. Mind, body, and soul. And another reason I'm sharing this is because first, after my dark night of the soul and my horrible childhood, that I thought was okay, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, damn, okay. Anyway, I started to realize that at a certain age, I had depression for a while because everything in my life was going wrong. And I was getting all these roadblocks and they didn't make sense because I was determined. And that depressed me. So that was like a dark night of the soul. If you look up that on YouTube, somebody better put in a comment what dark night of the soul means. So anyway, I had worked on first I started with my mind. I started working on how I think. I started correcting those thoughts. Nope, you're not gonna think that. Nope, you're gonna stay positive. It took me a long time, but I did it. Abraham Hicks, she's the shit. Esther, love her. Look her up. How many of you know who Abraham Hicks is? So first I corrected my mind, how I think. I didn't water the bad thoughts, those weeds, even though the underlying weeds are okay. We're not, I only water the positive plants, positive thoughts. Spent years doing that. Finally got somewhere. Things started to open up. I started receiving my downloads. Then boom, spiritual awakening. Mind, spirit, remember, body. In my case, it was mind first, then the spirit. Started getting downloads from the Holy Spirit. Ancestors, angels started just downloads in my dreams. Have had them my whole life, but they just really started flooding. And things were flowing beautifully, but there was still a blockage. And I knew it was my body. And I started to study astrology. I'm being certified in so many things. I'm just being quiet about a lot of it. And I realized in my past lives, or if you don't believe in past lives, in this life, I didn't master the body. So that was more determination. And now I just started determination to lose weight and get my health right. So mind, body, spirit. Once you get those three, and that's in the Bible. It's just across everything from the time. Who cares where it came from? Every country, they're gonna tell you mind, body, spirit. So that's what I'm on right now. So I've got the mind. I've got that in check. Obviously it's a ongoing, forever. It's like exercise. You got to keep exercising your mind, your thoughts. I'm exercising my spirituality. But now, guess what? I'm exercising my body. And I'm on 29. And so that was my 30 minutes walking back and forth in my house. I wanted to show you how simple it was. Love you, collective. I hope this helps somebody.